Leo and Charlie, when you're watching this someday, just know that your grandfather and I wanted you to hear some of these stories as they were happening. And as we get to sit around the dinner table and share stories together about how we built Cork and Candles, know that you've got these videos as some additional detail to the details we may have forgotten.
Yeah, and at my age, I'm forgetting a lot. So I'm going to go back and watch these videos with you and I go, really? Is that the way it happened? But what we're going to talk about now is franchising. And so there's a couple paths, and I've gone down both paths. You can start a business on your own and create the playbook on your own, which is that's really hard to do. Or you can go into a system where there is a playbook and be successful. And your dad has always said to me, he really, really enjoys mentoring other people, teaching other people. And so for me, part of the summary of the premise here of franchising is to help other people, to mentor other people in starting a business and being successful. So my history is starting a number of businesses. Some I did on my own and created a playbook. And then I was in 2 different franchise systems, Brewster's Real Ice Cream and Nathan's Hot Dogs. But I'll let you start because it's your vision.
Yeah, well, it touches on Brewster's because when I was young and we started, when you and Mom started Brewster's, one of the things that I loved was being at the store. Ashley and I would be running around the business as you and Mom were doing the cash counts and washing the dishes. And there was a time where we were running around Brewster's and one of the dogs that we had was chasing us, and Ashley went left and I went right, and we head-butted out front of the store at 2:30 in the morning because we thought we were chasing one another. But
do you remember the ripsticks?
Yeah, we would use the ripsticks. We'd go over the edge, over the sidewalks, the thin strip, and all around that business.
So your dad and your aunt, I'm so impressed with their balance. A ripstick has a wheel in the front and a wheel in the back, so just two center wheels, and so you can lean and turn it. You guys went on the curb and could actually go all the way around the store, sticking on about a 6-inch wide thing. I mean, that's a lot of skill.
But with parents who own a business, and sometimes you'd be there till 4 a.m. as a 15-year-old and 12-year-old, we had hours and hours and hours to practice. And so we got really, really good at some of those things because we had to entertain ourselves. And we had a lot of fun doing things that were non-conventional styles of entertainment.
I think some of this plays into how parenting has changed from when I was parented to my parenting to your parenting. So when I was a kid, there was no internet, there was no text messaging, and you would leave the house with your bike, and I might ride my bike 10 miles to the mall. My parents wouldn't even know where I was. There was no water bottles. We didn't have water bottles. If you needed a drink of water, you just went to the hose, or you went inside and you got a glass of water. But parents didn't have as many confines on us children. And as a business owner, you're busy with the business, so the kids are outside playing when other parents are probably going, how could you have your child at the store at 3 a.m. And they're outside doing ripstick and you're inside? You don't even know what they're doing. They could be playing in the street. And today parenting is very different. The leash is not as long.
No,
maybe we didn't even have a leash.
Yeah, it was free range back then, and today Leo's favorite.
You're not allowed to do anything.
Well, his favorite his favorite entertainment right now is Paw Patrol Woof Woof as a 2-year-old, and Charlie at 3 months is still sort of figuring out what the lights are, but a little bit different than when Ashley and I were 12 and 15 at the store. But one of the things for me that stood out as I look back on that business was the way different people show up to build a business, to manage a business, to lead teams. And the thing that always stuck with me over the years as I went through college and started working after college was that business really lived and died by Mom's involvement. I mean, Mom put her blood, sweat, and tears into building that business, and it showed because the business really grew and it blossomed, and it was a very successful outcome. But it cost her a lot of time and miss soccer practices or some of those things because she gave so much to the store. And as we thought about launching Cork and Candles and how we wanted to do it, franchising was always on our mind and on our vision of what we wanted to do. And for me, a core principle of that was I wanted to build a business that we could grow and scale and put the systems in place so that we did not have to be the ones in the store every single day like Mom was with Brewster's, and yet the business could still grow. The customers would still come in and have a consistent and great experience, that our staff would understand how to run the experiences even if we weren't there. And we haven't gotten it perfect. We're still figuring some of those systems and processes out. And I think the reality of it is we always will be, always trying to refine it and make it a little bit better. But the biggest thing for me, the biggest goal for me with building Cork and Candles was to be able to build something that we could franchise, meaning we could create the systems and the playbooks to hand to folks that wanted to own their own business, but didn't want to do what you've done with some of your other businesses, which is build it from scratch. And then also design a business that someone who could be an owner operator could make a fair wage or a good earning as an investor and an owner, but also love the type of work that they're doing, being in the scent library, talking to guests, pouring wine. It's a really enjoyable experience, but that we had the systems and the processes in place so that you didn't have to be in the store 7 days a week, 80 hours a week, just to be able to keep it moving forward.
So it's really a personality difference because Brewster's had a playbook.
Mm-hmm.
You know, Brewster's told us how to run the business. Some Brewster's owners didn't work in their business. When we bought the Brewster's, we were told by the founder of Brewster's that 17 of the top 20 performing stores were owner-operator stores, meaning the owner worked in the store. And so Mom's personality is one where if it's going to be done right, I'm going to be the one that does it. And to her credit, labor costs were controlled, cost of goods sold were controlled because she was watching both of those things like a hawk. And if we decided to just be investors, the manager wouldn't be sending people home the way Mom sent people home to keep labor costs down. So in addition to Brewster's, I had a full-time job. I started an inflatable business. I started the Waffle Hut. We opened up a second location. We added a Nathan's Hot Dogs to it. Mom pretty much stayed to managing the Brewster's and the two locations. But she said to me, if you want to do that inflatable thing, that one's on you. And then when I wanted to do the Waffle Hut, she said, well, if you want to do that waffle thing, that one's on you. But I was able to run those businesses while having a full-time job. And now I got involved. I did some things in the business, but the business didn't work me. I would say I worked those businesses. And so sometimes your observation and probably motivation comes from a single data point of watching Mom, because you could have grown up watching somebody that didn't get worked by the business. Then there is a big difference between Brewster's and here. Brewster's is very transactional. So the average ticket, the average receipt is about $13. Now the $13 might be 3 people. And in the last year before we sold, we did somewhere around $820,000 of revenue. So if you divide 13 into 820, that's a lot of transactions. But it's even more than that, because if it's 3 transactions per $13, now you're going to multiply whatever that result is by 3. So it's thousands and thousands of transactions.
Over minutes or seconds.
Yeah, minutes.
But spend a few minutes at the window.
But here the big difference is it's a 90-minute experience versus a 4-minute experience to serve guests. And the ticket value today is around $75 per person versus at Brewster's when we started, it was around like $3, $3.50 per cone per person. And so because the price point is much higher, The experience is much longer. This is not a transactional.
It feels much more relational.
Yeah, so if someone were to buy this business versus Brewster's, you can see pretty quickly how it's Brewster's is not a relationship business. You're not serving a cone to a family of 3 in minutes and establishing a relationship. But here in 90 minutes, you feel like you can have a relationship, which ties back to the tagline of where friends gather. We wanted to build something where people felt like they can develop a relationship here. But we as owners, that's probably the greatest joy that I get, is walking in here and watching a table of 4 ladies laughing and giggling and chatting. In fact, I'm very envious of that because I don't even know what they're talking about. I don't think I can participate in that conversation, but I want to. I want to be part of understanding that it's not the things that we're doing, but it's just being together that's so important.
But I think one of the things I heard there is not that Brewster's didn't have the systems, but really that Mom, her personality was a certain type, and that your personality was another type. And so for you, Charlie, and for you, Leo, as you think about coming up, and maybe you do something that's entrepreneurial, maybe you don't, but understanding your personality. Do you like to be in charge? Do you like to be the one setting the vision for the way the team's going to operate? Do you feel convicted that if something's going to be done right, you have to be the one to do it? Do you feel you can trust and delegate to others? And understanding the way that you would like to lead and manage and coach other people and support other people on a team, understanding your personality will really help be a North Star on your compass as you navigate, what kind of job do I want? What type of business do I want to be in? And if you're thinking about opening your own business or working within Cork and Candles or buying a franchise and being a business owner that way, it's really important, I would say, to understand what your compass guides you through. And then that'll help you inform, do I need a business that has a lot of systems in place already? Or do I want the blank canvas that I can go start on my own? Because I would say you by yourself are probably not a great entrepreneur. You wanted to do a lot of your own things within Brewster's, but
you mean I'm not a great franchisee?
I'm sorry, franchisee. Yeah. Great entrepreneur, maybe not the right franchisee, because in franchising you want to follow the systems that are in place, but as a franchisee you like to tinker.
Yeah, the rule book is doesn't really apply to me for sometimes.
Well, maybe I'll say it differently. You were really intentional about going and seeking out a franchise because you had tried to build things on your own, and you then, by doing that, saw the value that having the systems already in place would bring.
So it's actually it's a different answer to that question. Yeah. So when I started a business on my own, you were born. Mm-hmm. And we were living in a townhouse, and that was my dream, like my tipping point. I wanted to do something on my own, and so I did it. And I did it with a good friend of mine, and that good friend, at early on, become really stressed out about the business and tried to commit suicide. He's doing well today. He's alive today, and we're great friends today. But he had to get out of the business because he did not handle the stress of the business very well. I ran it for 3 years and sold it. And the reason I sold it is I had promised your grandmom that she would be able to quit her job and be a stay-at-home mom. And I made a promise by November of 1995 that the business would be throwing off enough cash that she would be able to quit her job and be a stay-at-home mom, or if it wasn't, I would sell the business and I would do something else that would allow her to quit. So I tried to buy a dry cleaning plant. The owner of the plant would not let me test the ground to see if there was poison or chemical dumping. So dry cleaners used to take their chemicals and just walk out back and pour it in the ground. And he was going to sell the land, or if I was going to rent it, there's this joint responsibility clause in the law that says even if you don't own the land, well, you should have known that there was a problem. Well, he wouldn't let me test the property, so I didn't buy the plant. And one of my vendors said that he would buy the business, so I sold the business, and that generated enough cash flow that your grandmother could quit her job and become a full-time mom, which was important to us. We felt like that we didn't want to outsource the responsibility of parenting. We wanted to insource that, and so your grandmother became a stay-at-home mom before for like 11 years before we opened up Brewster's, but the family was ready for her to step out and get back in and do something for financially for the family. Because of how that business went, I felt like, and we'll get to my tipping point of why I bought the franchise in another story, but I felt like it was a better move. It was the right move to do something on my own, but it was based upon my own experience at that time of having 2 kids and mom being a stay-at-home mom and coming out of that. It was better to step into something that had a system and a playbook. Now, later on, that itch that you talk about scratching, well, that's when I started, again, something on my own, the inflatable business. I became an international food importer to start the Waffle Hut. So I still did things that I got to scratch that itch, versus in a franchise at Brewster's. If I wanted to sell soft pretzels at the window, I'm not allowed to do it because that's what the rule book says. But in the inflatable business, if I wanted to do something off script, well, that's my script. I get to create the script. So that's a big difference. If someone wants to go into business for themselves and feels like, I am not a rule follower, I can never follow a rule, I hate following rules, we wouldn't want them to be a franchisee.
Yeah, I think it all comes back to understanding what your compass is, what your North Star is. Do you want to be the blank canvas entrepreneur that just builds it? Or do you want to have the systems and the support? And entrepreneurship can be a really lonely thing. If you're building something on your own, you don't have a peer group to call and say, what are your cost of goods sold? And how are you navigating, your marketing spend? But in a franchise system, one of the things we've also loved coming from the private equity world, where you've got benchmarks and KPIs and all of those things, is that franchising allows for the sharing of ideas, the sharing of success, to be able to call a competitor who's operating the same business you're operating in a different market and have someone to lean on. And that naturally established support system existed in Brewster's for you. I know you guys had a ton of success by reaching out to others, and it's something that we've been intentional about building inside Cork and Candles.
Yeah. And something that you said earlier to Charlie and Leo is your personality, your North Star. And so not everybody's North Star puts them in a place where they could be a business owner.
Yeah.
Elon Musk, who has started a lot of companies and gets a lot of press today, has said that being a business owner is like staring into the abyss while eating glass. And
sounds comfortable.
Yeah, but if your personality, when you grow up, when you grow up, if your personality isn't one that you want to accept those responsibilities, because the big problems they land here, they land on this doorstep. A manager's not going to solve them. Our chandler, our key holders, if there's something they can't solve, that problem lands right here. So if somebody's personality isn't one that likes to accept the responsibility of taking what lands here,
the adversity and the uncertainty, because the problems are always different and they're always new.
Yeah. What I tell your dad is, when he says, boy, things might be working well, I said, there's something around the corner. I don't know what's around the corner, but something is around that corner. In fact, today I shared some mail with your dad. It's something that I understand what's happening, but I've never faced this before. But that's landing on our desk, that we have to deal with this piece of mail that got to us yesterday. And so we're staring into the abyss while eating glass, but it tastes good to me. So
yeah, I've always felt my personality is one that I like to have a lot of balls in the air and juggling a lot of things. And being a business owner, being an entrepreneur certainly does that. If I were someone that only liked to do one thing at a time, or to be able to stay focused on just solving one problem at a time, this probably wouldn't be the right path.
I think we need to unpack this a little bit for Charlie and Leo. But your dad is right. if he's got 3 balls in the air, he wants to add a 4th. If he's got 4 balls in the air, he wants to add a 5th. Now your mother, on the other hand, she's reaching into the air and she's pulling balls out of the air. And so maybe you just want to let your children know how you and your wife, how their mother, how you guys are working this together.
The parenting thing.
No, not pairing. How like you wanted to do this business, but Lauren didn't say, "Oh,
yeah,
let's start a business together."
Yeah, there was a lot of your mom's always been incredibly supportive of me, but she's also been a reminder that now may not be the right time. And so we got a call to open from a realtor who felt our concept would be perfect in a property that they were helping to lease. It was in Center City, Philadelphia. And I looked at the lease agreement and the economics, and the opportunity just made all the sense in the world. And I went to your mom and said, we have to do this. And
he should have started a little differently.
And she said, I'm pregnant and due a few months after that's scheduled to open. Now is not the time. And I've always been maybe the blind optimist that will figure it all out. And your mom's always been the realist of, here are the things on the table. We clearly have too many things on the table. What do you want to say no to right now? Is it this or is it that? And I think we've balanced each other. Your mom and I together have really well because of those differences. But there's been times where it's been really frustrating because I see all these things I want to go do. And there've been times where I feel like she's saying, no, you can't go do them. And that is really frustrating. And so we've worked through some of those things over the years, particularly in this instance when we're talking about is now the right time. And over time, as we've been successful in building the business and I've been able to step out of certain things more, I've gotten more confidence from her to take on other things. But there's a balance. I always want to be throwing another ball into the mix. And
your dad always wants to be out of balance, actually.
Yeah.
He doesn't want to. Once he gets in balance, he goes,
I get antsy.
This is not where I want to be. I want to be out of balance.
Yeah. Well, and so franchising was like, why did we do this? For me, it was building the systems, figuring out a way that, unlike mom, where she had to be in it all the time, we could build something that we didn't have to be in all of the time. And so if there was a takeaway, Charlie, Leo, for you from this, to be reminded that your grandfather and I started this because we wanted to create systems and tools that other business owners could come in and access so that they could have those to be able to run their own businesses. That's really what drew me to franchising, was being able to build those systems. And for you, it's figuring out in your life, do you like having a playbook and being guided through something? Do you want that blank canvas to figure it out on your own? Understanding if business ownership is right for you, understanding if something else is right for you, but figuring out what the compass is, what that North Star is, will become really valuable. So that was the thing for me to take away from this, if there was one thing. But is there anything for you?
So I echo all of that. But the other reason why we want to do this is I've always told Kenny and Ashley that you need to build assets that generate income. And so it's not growing more and more assets. You need assets that create a stream of income for you. So you want many assets. And a business is one path. The most profitable, the largest stream comes from owning a business. So here we actually have 2 businesses. Mm-hmm. We have multiple locations, but they're really 2 businesses. One, we have company-owned stores, and so we have cash flow. We have a stream from that. But the other business that we own is we're the franchisor. And so as a franchisor, we get paid a royalty. And when you have enough franchises that are open, then that royalty for us becomes another stream of income, which is a vision, a hope that I have for the two of you, for the Straub family. I'll be gone. I tell your dad all the time, if he ever starts talking about the future, I'm not in that future. Let's shorten the time frame so I can participate. And I say, if you built it really large, you have 200 franchises out there that are doing well, franchisees, then you're going to have a large stream of income with very few employees to run that business. And then the vision is you create a family office and you start investing in some other businesses. And so I hope I get to see the day where you and your dad and your mom have lots of time freedom and you're doing fun things together because you're enjoying eating the glass and staring into the abyss together as a family. But I think for me, that's the message. Another message is the reason you start a business is it gets you off of the path of trading time for dollars and building streams of income.
Yeah.